Hey guys, welcome to Under Construction with Jerry Keenan, the Alliance for Actions podcast. This is where you can hear directly from the decision makers building a better future in New Jersey. Be sure to subscribe on your preferred platform so you never miss an episode. Now, here's Under Construction with Jerry Keenan.
And hello, everyone. This is Under Construction with Jerry Keenan. I'm Jerry Keenan, the president of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. We have a special guest here for Under Construction. It's Tom Bergeron. Tom is the owner and editor of the newest online news journal, BINJE. And it's really a fantastic thing. And we've seen it happening. He's been... Well, how long? Well, first of all, let me say hi, Tom. How are you?
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great.
It's awesome.
And so BINJE has been here for, I guess, maybe, I'm going to guess and say 3, 4, 5 months. And
It depends when this airs. We technically launched on May 5th, so we're about 8 weeks in as we talk, and our readers and reviewers and listeners can figure it out from there.
Well, that's interesting because you've obviously hit the ground running. I thought it was longer because it's already, in my mind, you're there. Tell us, what is BINJE?
So BINJE, the best way to describe it in our essence is we are a business journal. We're covering news for the business community, but we like to say that we're more than that. It's not what we cover, but who we cover for. Thought leaders in business, in politics, in government, C-suite leaders we talk about. It doesn't matter if you're a 3-person company or a 30-person company. We're talking to the people that are making decisions in the state, giving them the information that they need to know to make those decisions, and more than that, introducing them to people that they need to connect with to make their business run better, to make the state run better.
Well, that's terrific. I have seen BINJE all over the place now already in the short 8 weeks that you've been hitting the ground and in business. You cover all sorts of stories and things, but I have noticed a real strong interest on your part in the construction economy and what's happening in construction. I know you've done stories on the Gateway Development Commission, on the Port Authority just doing their gateway process, and all the Newark Transit Access Project, and so on. A long list, the Portal Bridge, and so on. Not every newspaper spends as much time on construction, and I say newspaper even though we don't have newspapers.
I love the term. It's all good. Keep saying it.
But even we don't see that a lot, but you do. You really make sure to cover the construction economy. Why did you decide to do that?
So it's a couple of things. First of all, like you said, we cover all sectors, whether it's healthcare or banking or finance or all of those issues that you would expect a business journal to cover. But what we like to think is that we're covering economic development in the state and how the state is building and how the state is growing and how we're building a middle class. So when you get into the construction industry or the union industry on top of that and bigger, I realized a while ago, 10 years ago when I started doing this, the connection between union labor and construction labor to the greater economy. Yes, we cover the Gateway Tunnel, right? And union construction and labor and union members are going to help build that. But union influence and construction influence goes past a lot more than just one particular project. It's embedded into the economy.
There's no doubt about it. Like, we've been here 51 years, the Alliance for Action, and the reason why we're here and we've been so successful is we recognized early, back in the 70s, that as the construction economy goes, so does New Jersey's whole economy. And when the construction people are building roads and bridges, people are able to get to work and get to the beach and get to the store, and trucks are able to carry freight back and forth, and same thing with the rail lines and clean water. None of that stuff happens without the construction workers and our union building, our building trades, making sure those things move forward. Did you have background in, how did you, not everyone realizes that. If you walk and talk with people down the street here, they don't know what the hell, they don't know what's going on. They don't realize what went into building a hospital or building this road, but you do.
So look, a good reporter asks a lot of questions and listens. I always joke with people that my goal in life, in all aspects of life, let's be honest, every day I wake up and I hope I don't look stupid, right? We all do that. So when you're a reporter, the minute you look stupid, you kill your whole credibility. So the one thing that I've learned in 30 years of journalism, you try to get as much information as you can, as much background as you can on everything that happens, because that helps you tell the story better. So when people read what you write or listen to what you say, they'll say, okay, this person understands what's going on here. Look, it's easy for me to write 10 different stories about 10 different sectors. And there might be 9 of them that you don't know anything about, and you're like, okay, that's great. But if I flub the one that you do know something about, you start wondering if I flubbed the other 9. So it took a while to understand that. And I'll make a point about union and labor and construction industry. We were joking before the show about, okay, union will do on the waterfront and this and that and all of that traditional stuff. And we can go back to all of the impact of unions in America and how it helped unions grow. And in the pendulum swinging back and forth on protecting workers' rights and building quality products. But I think the union industry, the construction industry of today, is 3 steps behind that. When I talk to union leaders, it's not about the members and the jobs. It is. Let me say that.
Sure.
But it's about how do we interact with the economy? How do we help these projects grow? How does the Gateway Tunnel project impact the entire economy? Not just the union workers that are helped building it. So I learned to understand that union leaders and construction leaders are economic development leaders at their mindset. And that is what's helping building the column, because you got to bring all of those areas together. It's not just building a new hospital, it's understanding how that new hospital or that new tunnel or that new road is helping the entirety of the economy.
That is a terrific point, because it's not on the waterfront anymore. And you take a look at the more recent labor leaders in the state, and guys like, he's now retired, but Ray Pacino with the laborers, Mike Hellstrom now with the laborers, Bill Sproul, who runs the Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters, many states under his purview. Joe DeMarc, who runs the sheet metal workers, both his local 25 and the statewide Sheet Metal Workers Association. Bill and Mike and Joe are all board members of the Alliance for Action. And I bring this up not only because they're strong union people, but they get the whole picture. They realize that, yeah, it's great thing for my union workers to be working, but they also recognize they're not going to beat the hell out of the contractors and the developers and so on, because they recognize we're all on a team. We need to make this happen. And it's interesting that you, coming from the media, recognize that and promote that fact.
Well, look, it's funny, you mentioned Hellstrom. I was at an event with him a couple weeks ago in Newark where it was about a pre-apprentice program, right? So here's an idea of unions better than anyone. I mean, Murphy comes in and talks about we need to have apprentice programs. And the union guys are like, okay, we've been doing that for 100 years. You finally catch on. We're glad you come to the party, but we know how that works. So this event I was at the other day where they were talking about, let's take underserved communities, let's take people that were previously incarcerated, let's get them in a pre-apprentice program so we can train them to enter an apprentice program. And if we do that, yes, we get some union workers. That's great, that's good. But what you've really done is you've taken parts of society, you've given them good, high-paying jobs, and again, it's the tentacles. It's not just, hey, Jerry, I'm going to give you a job in a union. When you get that job and you go back to the neighborhood or where you grow up, your family, your neighbors, your friends are saying, where's Jerry working? What's he doing? What's this about?
Yeah.
It leads other people to get better jobs. It gets other people to understand how this is how the economy works. So all of these things are coming together. Again, union labor, great. Solid construction, great. Building the economy is the ultimate.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure partnering with you on so many of these different issues. But I want to talk a little bit about you, Tom. I know this is. I know you were at one point, I believe, the sports editor at the Star-Ledger. We had a good sports conversation. I'm going to let him slide. He's a well, I don't really know what baseball team. He was a Baltimore fan. He was an Angels fan when he moved across the country. I'm still sticking with my Yankees, but but you were a sports editor for the Star-Ledger. You were at the Ledger for a long, long time. That's where we first got to know each other. And then you started another venture, and now you've ROI New Jersey. I believe that was yours. You started.
Yep, I was part of the group that founded it. Absolutely. Yep.
And now coming up with BINJE, which is really making a difference already. What kind of similarities and differences do you see when you're meeting the people and the stories that you're covering?
So look, people ask all the time on how it differentiates. And I went from the Ledger, and then I did a stint at Yahoo, and then I was at NJ Biz and ROI and now BINJE. And you could say, at least from NJ Biz and ROI and BINJE, that they're all essentially business journals, which is fair, all covering business and how it interacts with politics. What we're doing now with BINJE is, again, it's nice to get to start and refresh. And I explain people, you can be in a company, you could be in the office that we're here now. Mm-hmm. If you guys switched your offices next month, you would still essentially be doing the same thing. But when you went to a new office, you would say, okay, we've got a chance to reset. Mm-hmm. Maybe we want to do this. Maybe we want to do that. Maybe we want to work with the employees better. Maybe we want to add something. So when we start BINJE, we're still covering business news, but it gives us a chance to reset. And one of the things that we're doing is things like I'm doing here now, are podcasts. And this isn't necessarily myself being on podcasts, always happy to talk, always good. But look, there's a lot of a podcast community out there. So we'll start featuring your podcast. We'll start featuring dozens of podcasts because we want the readers to get more information about what they're doing. Mm-hmm. I can't write every story and report everything. So if other people are doing it and it's worthwhile, let's do it. Look, the joke is, and I was at the Ledger in its heyday, there's like 12 journalists left in the state, right? So, which is great. We all want to do this. We all have a passion for it, but we should work together more. We're going to compete. We're going to try to break stories. I get that. But at the same time, we should be colleagues on some of this stuff. How can I bring in what other journalists are doing, what other people are doing on podcasts? So when you go to BINJE and you go to binje.com and you get your twice daily newsletters, I'll put that in there. Up, yes. And they're free. Just all you have to do is subscribe. There's no cost. You're getting all the news that you want to do. And it would be wonderful in a perfect world if myself and my staff could cover everything. We can't. So how do we make sure you get all the information, all the news you can use to have a trite cliche phrase?
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to bring it up. You have your online release twice a day.
Twice a day.
Twice a day. And how many stories generally are in an issue? I got to believe at least 7 or 8.
The goal is to do 9.
9, okay.
It's funny, you have to do it in sets of 2s by the way the page is developed. Sometimes 7, sometimes 11, depends how it goes. So we generally do about 18 to 22 stories a day.
Which is really remarkable. It really is. Now, you're writing many of those stories, but at the same time, you are the face. You're doing this today. You're hosting the NJUA conference and serving as the moderator, which was very, very good. I've seen you do that a couple of times. Who else is? I mean, you have to have a team, and you have to be able to rely on your team. How is all this stuff getting done?
You know, it's the oldest line in any job you've ever had. There's someone that seemingly gets credit for doing all the work, and then there's someone who actually does all the work, right? And at BINJE, that's Linda Linder, the managing editor. She is the one that is finding more stories, writing more shorts, editing all of my stuff. And people have to understand, when you see a story that's online, no matter where it is, someone has read that, someone has edited that, someone has written the headline, someone has found a photo, someone has put it up, someone has then looked to say, okay, let me make sure I got all this extensive coding right. Linda does all that. She maintains our website every day, and then she's the one that builds those twice daily email blasts. So, I mean, look, people see me out and about, and I'm trying to grow the brand and this and that, but without someone like that, you know, behind us trying to do that, it's unbelievable. And then I have to mention Heather Long, who's the head of business development. She single-handedly is meeting with, dozens and dozens of companies. Look, that's how we survive, is support from organizations who buy advertising. So to have Heather leading up that charge is great. And then, look, we're in essence, we're a mom and pop startup, so there's a whole lot of people that share my last name who work on the project, who do it on a volunteer basis, we shall say. But, look, that's the way you start a business. So it's great.
When I look, and when we're talking to these millions and millions of people watching our podcast right now, no one has ever accused of me of being short with words. You know, And we talked about, we could sit here today, we only have a half an hour, we could talk, I'm sure, Tom, we could talk for hours if we wanted to do. Did you always have that gift when you were growing up? Were you the class clown? Were you the guy? Were you the school president? Were you the person who was always talking?
So you will be stunned to learn that I was actually very shy as a child.
Really?
Very shy. I came out of my shyness. If I could still do this job, I would. I was big in the restaurant industry, whether it was busboy,
I know
waiter,
that. I've done my research.
barback.
I know.
Loved every aspect of the restaurant business. And what was great about it, and I would tell this to anyone who's shy, be a waiter or waitress, be a server, because it forces natural conversation, right? I have to come to you, I have to find out what you're eating, I have to figure out how we're gonna do it, and that it breaks the ice, and that can lead to more and more. So I sort of developed my personality as the nutty guy who was waiting on tables. Met my wife in the restaurant, so I must have done something right with the personality-wise. And that really brought it out. I'd always been a news person, right? When I was at the Ledger, like you said, I was a sports editor in another lifetime, as we say. That was behind the scenes. That was inside. That was producing that incredible product. And now, since I've switched to this, I'm now more forward-facing and outward-facing. They're both great jobs. I enjoy doing both of them. It's just the role I have right now.
So you have to tell me the secret. I'm amazed when I go to a restaurant, we'll have 6, 7, 8 people, and the waiter never writes a damn thing down.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. How do you remember all those orders?
All right, so...
And these are not just regular... some people are saying, well, I'll have extra anchovies, and I don't want this. How do you do that?
So early in my career, a veteran server challenged me that. And he said, you have to think about it, and anybody can test this at home. Your memory is stronger when you don't write it down, because now you're concentrating more, you're putting it in there, you're saying, okay, you've got linguine and clam sauce, right? No anchovies, you're getting, rigatoni pasta, this and that. If you write it down, you tend to concentrate more about your writing and you're not hearing them. And then you're not hearing the hold the mushrooms, this and that. So if you look at someone and you do it, it's just like, think of you're having a conversation with someone, right?
Yeah.
If I'm trying to record everything we're saying, I'm spending too much time recording it and not being involved in the conversation. So it becomes a challenge, you can do it. And what I found was, at restaurants that I worked at, and for a long time I worked at Paparazzi in Short Hills, you have repeat customers, and you would come in and I say, yeah, you were the garden salad without the tomatoes.
Yeah.
You would remember people's orders when they came back a month later.
That's terrific.
So it's not any trick, but I challenge anyone in their own life to just go around to dinner and ask somebody what they want, try to write it down, and you get confused. And then, listen, I'm a journalist. If you saw my handwriting, by the time I got back to the terminal, I couldn't read what I wrote down anyways, so I might as well just remember it.
It's interesting you say that. Now, I've never been a waiter and trying to remember all those things, but I was a reporter, a radio and TV guy up in North Jersey, and same thing. I rarely wrote notes. I recorded everything, whether it was nowadays I could record things on my phone, but we had our video camera running, and I would have the camera run the whole meeting. But I would listen, and then I remember, this happened, and at 20 minutes after 10, and I would go back and find the specific details there. But I did the same thing. I listened rather than writing, because I have tried writing notes at meetings, and I'm writing, and it takes me, and I have to scribble, and by the time I get done, I miss the last
100%.
Yeah. So
meanwhile, the next person's getting a pizza with no anchovies, and you've missed it.
No
all
idea.
you heard was quattro formaggi, and you're like, what am I doing here?
He's getting
Absolutely.
extra anchovies.
Yes, right.
That's terrific. Now, you are obviously, I know you're a big family guy, but you had been the editor at the Star Ledger. You then went Yahoo and NJ Biz or NJ Biz, and then you were one of the beginners of ROI, now doing Binge. You're always running, and I see you at meetings that I go to, events, and I see you all the time. And I do know you're a strong family guy. How do you do that? Like, take us through a day in the life of Tom Bergeron.
So listen, I have 5 kids that I'm very proud of and thrilled. I ran my local Little League for 5 years, coached them for 20 years, and nothing that I would, even yesterday my son was 100 degrees. He's like, aren't you glad we don't have, what would you do if we had a 10U game today in the heat? And I said I would have loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
You have to make time for your kids and your family. My wife, Lori, God bless her, I would be coaching all these teams. And I'd say, look, I'm killing you here because I'm doing this and you've got to take care of the rest of them. And she made a great point, and I love her for it, and I'll always remember it. She said, you have to understand, when you're coaching blank, whoever this is, for 2 hours, they're an only child. So it's one thing that you've got 12 kids looking up at you as a coach. It's another thing when that's your parent. But for someone who gets shared time, that was 2 hours of one-on-one time with every kid. So I cherished that and remembered that. Now my youngest is in college. Listen, I could never have started Binge 10 years ago. Would have refused to do it because I enjoy so much being with the kids, being with the family, doing all that stuff. So Binge developed right. My youngest daughter just started college last fall. It gave an opportunity to say, I don't want to say we're empty nesters because they all come back, as you know.
Yes, I do.
But it afforded me a greater opportunity to be on the road a little bit more than I was even before.
That is really interesting because I don't have 5 kids, but I have 3 kids. And when they were growing up, when my oldest son was going to football or whatever, that was one thing. And then my daughter started cheerleading, and my wife and I were able to handle it. Then when I had my 3rd kid going through sports, I had someone playing football here and someone cheering here. Usually they were together, but and then I had my youngest son going over here. Sometimes different sports, you know. You have fall ball, you have basketball. So that's when it really gets hard. You have to start working with other parents. I'll take your kid, you drive my kid here, and so. But having 5 kids, what are their age spans?
So they were 5 and 10 years. So the oldest now is, we go from 28 to 18 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
every other year, seemingly every other grade, but you know how the school year breaks, it didn't always work out that way. But always someone's in a little league, someone's in junior high, someone's in high school. And look, you make it work, and you only get those days once. I coached Little League for 20 years, and I wish I could have done 21, right? Take advantage of it.
I did the same thing. A lot of fun. I enjoyed every moment of it. And when I was racing back and forth, I did recognize, I said, wow, I'm going all over the place. But I recognized I only have these kids for a certain number of years when we're doing this stuff. And just driving in the car to a game that was an hour away, you get a chance to sit with you.
You get one-on-one time.
Yeah.
I was in a Dunkin' Donuts. I was going to an event down in Trenton the other day. I'm exhausted because I don't sleep and all that. So I stop in a Dunkin' Donuts to get a cup of coffee, and there's a guy there with his daughter, and I can tell by the uniform, it's all purple and this and that. This is clearly a travel softball player, right? It probably said the Venom on it or something crazy that the kids come up with. And at one point she leaves, and I turn to the guy and I said, look, I don't want to be that guy. I said, but I did this for 20 years, and I would kill to be going to a travel softball game today. Instead, I'm going to some sort of panel, which was great, all good, but appreciate those 2 hours where you get to watch your kid have 3 or 4 at bats or whatever and do all that. It's a wonderful thing.
I do want to continue a little bit more on the personal side. I know that you've been a long-time advocate for people with autism. Why do you have such a passion for that?
So that's easy. My oldest son is on the spectrum, neurodiverse. It's funny, they keep changing the name. He had Asperger's, and then he was on the autism spectrum. Now he's part of the neurodiverse community. Either way, it's just, people who have different challenges. And it's funny, we're all neurodiverse. We all have something, right? I don't like crowds, right? Everybody's got something, and it's just a matter of trying to create a society where everybody's welcome. My son is very high functioning, which is great. Other kids are not. And we just want to create a community where everybody is welcome. So if I can shine light on that, and it's funny, sometimes at the end of speeches, I'll talk about hiring the neurodiverse.
I have, at NJUA you did that.
1 in 6 neurodiverse people are hired, and they're generally unemployed. And I usually start the line with, okay, it's autism awareness, right? Is there anyone who's unaware of autism? There's nobody that's unaware of autism at this point.
Yes.
What are we doing about it? What are we doing to make sure that every member of society has an opportunity to contribute in one way or another? And New Jersey is a leader in neurodiversity and autism training, far better than any other state. And we have so many organizations that are trying to hire people. So I tell people out there, look, you have to match skills to job. It's no different than if you're a strong writer or if you're a strong laborer or if you're a strong this or that. Find something that's good. The best line I ever heard from somebody in an autism thing is, if you have an autistic individual that's nonverbal, don't have them answer the phone. But there's other things they can do.
For sure.
Just don't have them answer the phone. That's not a job for them. Okay, that's good. Let's find something else that they're good at. right? It's no different than hiring for any other position. You're trying to find skills that people have that match jobs that you have. Why are you stopping there? And we did a neurodiverse conference, NeuroX conference last year, where somebody made a great point. We have to understand not to judge people who are neurodiverse differently. And the gentleman gave an explanation where he was having a job interview with someone who was neurodiverse. And at one point, the HR person looked at the person who's neurodiverse and said, "You need to look me in the eye when we're having this conversation." Okay, that's a standard thing. You tell your kids when you're interviewing with someone, you look them in the eye.
Sure.
And the neurodiverse person, and God bless people who are neurodiverse because they tell you the truth, man. There's no holding back. There's no filter. They don't get it. And the neurodiverse person who's looking down said, "I can look you in the eye, but you're unaware that your facial makes 346 movements per second.
Oh my God.
And if I look at you, I'm going to concentrate on your facial movements, and I'm not going to hear anything you say. If I look down, I'm going to hear everything you say, and I'm going to be able to give you a good answer."
Oh, wow.
Okay, boom. So there's an example that when you're interviewing someone who's neurodiverse, maybe you need to do it a different way. And then you get the answer. If you put everyone in the same cookie cutter, it's going to come out differently.
I'm wondering if that example you're talking about, I wonder if he should be a waiter. Now, we do every year in August, we do a program called Investing in South Jersey, where the action is. And we highlight all the construction initiatives coming up there in the next few years. Let's face it, South Jersey is not as busy as North Jersey. And it's growing, and it's continuing to grow, but it's still not as active as North Jersey. And many times doesn't get the coverage, the press coverage that it deserves. But that's not true with you. You have made a point of it to push South Jersey when appropriate. Why did you decide to do that, and what kind of a reaction have you gotten?
So look, this is all part of having complete and thorough coverage, right? You're correct. South Jersey is not as busy as North Jersey. But statistically, when you go by, the population isn't as dense. If you go by numbers and people and companies, South Jersey is just as strong as North Jersey. There's just more people in North Jersey. That's okay. It doesn't mean that we should ignore it, that we shouldn't talk about how this is, again, another piece that's fitting into the state. There's so much going on in the Camden area, that we'll say, Cherry Hill area, and then there's a whole other pocket in Atlantic City, and people forget about the Cape May area, and Salem is starting to grow a little in that. So it might not have the density of North Jersey, but they're still doing vibrant, important things. And part of our role at BINJE is to let people know what's going on, right? And to expose them to everything, because that's going to give you a complete news. So we're going to tell you what South Jersey's doing. We're going to tell you what the issues they're facing there. Huge issues with transportation. They don't get enough transportation help down there. They're still asked to pay for it, which we've done a number of times. Hey, we need you to pay for all these NJ Transit and all this other stuff we're doing it, even though we don't have it available to you, right? So we're going to do that. And I'll raise it to another point. Something that we've been proud of is the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Pride Chamber of Commerce, the African American Chamber of Commerce, the Punjabi Chamber of Commerce. You do it, right? We're going to try to cover everything, right? So why should we not? We're going to become a majority minority state any day now, right? Any second now, we're going to become a majority minority state. We should cover the business interests and all of that. I tell people all the time, what is the fastest growing entrepreneurial class in New Jersey? And it's not even close. It's not even just Hispanics, it's Hispanic women. Latinas are starting more businesses in the state than any other group that you want to slice and dice. And number two would be African American or black women. So if we're going to cover business in New Jersey, why aren't we covering all the Latinas that are starting businesses left and right? Right? Okay, maybe they're 1, 2, 3 person shop. That's all good. What are they going to be 10 years from now? They're going to be 10, 12, 13. This is part of the growing economy. So we want to let everybody know this is what's going on in the state. We're going to cover all the different topics. We're going to put South Jersey in there. We're very big on women in business because, one, women are like 51% of the population, and by all accounts, and God bless, I have 2 daughters and 3 sons, women are far sharper than men, right? I mean, just because we've held them down all these years doesn't mean we shouldn't acknowledge the fact that they generally understand things a hell of a lot better than we do. So we're going to bring all of that come out so the readers can come and they can say, hey, I didn't know this was happening in South Jersey. I didn't know this happened in Burlington County. I didn't know this was happening in the Hispanic community. I didn't know this was happening here and there. If you don't want that, go somewhere else. If you want to have complete coverage to understand how the state works and how it works comes together, go to BINJE, because we're going to try to show you that. And I don't know why other people don't do it. They should.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, once again, congratulations on the start of BINJE. You just put out and we have to wrap up, but I do want to speak about, you just put out your first hard copy version of BINJE. A lot of pages. How did that go?
So look, you mentioned before newspapers. I will always be a newspaper man. No matter what you do, I'm a newspaper man. So look, the days of having a daily newspaper are to some extent gone, right? We're all adjusting. The days of having a publication that's just, here's 15 random stories, those are gone. You get that on my website every day. Mm-hmm. So we just did our inaugural issue, which was we called it our debut commemorative issue, where we had lots of great features, tons of great ad support. We had 72 pages, Jerry. We were hoping to do 40 pages. Wow. We had 72 pages. We had 45 advertisers. We can always take more. We're always welcome for that. And we had 22 stories. So that was great. Moving forward, BINJE, I think you'll see maybe 12 to 15 print editions a year, and some of them will be, what we call honors or all-stars, leaders in real estate, leaders in construction, leaders in the environment, women in business, things like that. And then we'll tackle some specific issues, like we're going to do cancer care in New Jersey, right? Let's do a whole bunch of stuff on what they're doing on cancer care. We want the print editions to be something that if you don't read it today, it's okay. You can read it next week or next month, and it still has pertinent information. Mm-hmm. The daily driven information you're going to get on our website, like everything else. So we like to have print. We were very proud of that first edition. We had no idea it was going to be 72 pages, and we were cursing left and right, trust me. But it was a labor of love, a heavy lift, but we're glad we did it, and we're very proud of it.
Well, that's terrific. Tom, thank you so much for being here. That wraps up this edition of Under Construction with Jerry Keenan. If you have any questions, give us a call, 732-225-1180 at the Alliance for Action. You can reach us at www.allianceforaction.com. And if you're posting something and you want to tag us, use our hashtag is hashtag NJ Alliance for Action. That's our tag. Our tag is NJ Alliance for Action, and our hashtag is Building a Better Future. I want to say, once again, congratulations on your success. Congratulations on the new print version. We're looking forward to partnering with you more in the future. It's been a great partnership so far, and that's terrific. Tom, thanks for being here, man. Great seeing you.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
Bye-bye. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for tuning in. Under Construction with Jerry Keenan is a production of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. Make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode, and be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. To learn more about membership and events, go to allianceforaction.com. Together, we're building a better future. We'll see you next time.